Colleagues, thank you for your patience. Now we have Colonel Andriy Lysenko. Good afternoon, esteemed colleagues. Yesterday, President of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko, has awarded Ukrainian servicemen for their courage and heroism. They protected state sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine in the hostility area. The presidential decree awarded the Hero of Ukraine title to Ruslan Luzhevsky post-mortem. Also, medals and awards were awarded to 237 servicemen, and 41 out of them were awarded post-mortem. Also, President of Ukraine, by his decree from November 3rd, has established the new award of the Hero of the Heavenly Hundred with the motto, the freedom and dignity. The Order of Heavenly Hundred will be made of silver and in a form of a cross with the image of heavenly warrior in the heaven, on the cross with a shield and sword. Also, the presidential decree has established the position of presidential ombudsman on Crimean Tatar issues. This ombudsman will carry out responsibilities and control compliance with the constitutional rights of Crimean Tatars as the indigenous people of Ukraine. Also, today, the National Security and Defense Council meeting will be held under the chairmanship of the President of Ukraine, and it will discuss the issue that the law on special self-governance regime in Donetsk and Lugansk Oblast should be cancelled and repealed because it was closely related to compliance with Minsk agreements, which was not enforced. Ukraine has completely fulfilled its commitments, while the terrorists did not. The situation in the hostility area, the situation in the east of Ukraine remains rather difficult. Also, the Russian military presence is increasing in these regions. The terrorists use the tactic which unites psychological pressure upon Ukrainian military and massive shelling of our positions from artillery and snipers' weapon. The objective is to force Ukrainian services to quit from the positions. Ukrainian forces open defiant response, and if there is any threat to their lives. The major activities of the terrorists was fixed in Lugansk Oblast. Thus, near Krymska, there was a massive shelling from Grad. Also, they have shelled our checkpoint near Hirske Popaskova Rayona. Checkpoint number 31 near Frunze was 3 times shelled from mortars. The rotation of servicemen in the checkpoint was done, and it was strengthened with army units in coordination with the supporting artillery. In Ozeryanivka, near Gorlevka, Ukrainian warriors repelled the attack of terrorists with the use of tanks and infantry. The terrorists had big losses. In Donetsk airport, Donetsk airport was subjected to full shelling from mortars and small arms. 3 Ukrainian military were wounded during the last 24 hours, and fortunately, thanks God, there are no killed people. The Russians continue active military intelligence and air intelligence with the use of drones and aviation. Today, there was fixed the flight of a drone near Novosilk and Novotroinsk, and also the intelligence flights were fixed in Rostov Oblast, close to Azov Sea. Yesterday, the head of the special monitoring mission of the OSCE in Ukraine, Artugrul Abakan, and U.S. Ambassador Daniel Baer stated about attacks from pro-Russian militants at one of the drones of monitoring mission which was doing the monitoring flight. And in particular, on October 31st, Compania Shibel confirmed that to the OSCE mission that on Wednesday, 3 kilometers from Sartany, there was an attempt to stop GPS signals from drones, which was OSCE drone, which was doing the monitoring of the territory. And also near Chermalik, 2 days from Mariupol, the considerable electronic hinders were made, and the U.S. ambassador Jeffrey Pide said that this is again the proof that Minsk agreements and escalation of conflict took place. The Russians continue to concentrate military machinery in the terrorist area and to strengthen the radio electronic intelligence means. On November 3rd, close to Bezeman in Russian Federation, there was noticed 3 objects of heavy machinery which are used to transport the launchers for tactic missiles. Also yesterday in Salantsy, in Belgorodska Oblast in Russian Federations, the deployment of Russian military machinery like Grad, MPs, and artillery was noticed. Also today, the Russian party, having violated the international agreements and without no information to Ukrainian side, has transported 3 trucks of so-called humanitarian convoy near Donetsk. Ukrainian interagency group in this checkpoint did not participate in this operation.
Zolotehirske Счастье, Stanica Luhanska, and also a village, Tris Izbenka, Krimske, and Novotashkivka. As a result of shell and of terrorists, they destroyed houses of civilians. They shelled from Grad system, Shelibok village, and they were shelled from Lubovsk. Also, bandits was shelled upon Fashivka from Yuzhno Lonovka. No losses among civilians. Social-economic situation on territories under control of terrorists is difficult, and there is a trend of deterioration. In Makivka Donetsk region, local people are unhappy in the protest against DNR, and people demand to organize handing out tickets to get humanitarian assistance. Gunmen of DNR prohibited doctors, specialized doctors, to leave from Donetsk to provide assistance in the region. On territories under control of terrorists, because they destroyed banking system, pharmacy stores, they don't have a chance to buy new medicine, and the number of medicine they have is fallen, and there is no chance there to provide more. On liberated territories in Donbass, leaders of local self-governance solve issues as to how to support life in the cities. On November 1 in Kramatorsk, because of redistribution of social financial assistance from state budget, they introduced new low tariffs for pensioners and for children up to 15. Now the cost for public transportation, pensioners will pay instead of 3 hryvnia, they will 150, and the children will pay 2 hryvnia 50 kopecks. And these tariffs will be in force until next March. And then it is planned to continue to have these benefits. Yesterday at 2 o'clock in Slavyansk, there was a meeting of commissions in the city, of the city council. They made a decision to provide, to finance, to fund 1 million hryvnia to utilities service, Slavny's Motor Canal, to cover their debts and to cover debts, salary debts. This will be considered in the session of Slavyansk City Council. In Mariupol, the security service arrested a group of infiltrators. They were preparing terrorist attacks, and they collected information, intelligence to LNR, DNR. They gave the coordinates of where Ukrainian armed forces are located for them to shell them from the artillery. Such information that provided to terrorists caused the death of 3 military men on October 28. Also, the infiltrators were planning to have a terrorist attack on 80 blog posts. And there's an article, they started a prosecution for creation of terrorist groups or organizations, Article 219. Now they give evidence. Severodonetsk, Lugansk region, people received one more tranche of assistance from 7 groups or from Ministry of Interior. 47 tons of human resources were delivered, and children food and juice, puree, oats, canned goods, towels, blankets, underwear, and generators. Ministry of Interior found collected information as to participation of foreigners as monitors on LNR. The monitoring of elections was done. So-called representatives from the US, Bulgaria, Serbia, Hungary, Slovakia, Greece, Austria, and Italy. So-called monitors, representatives of the most odious anti-democratic political forces in their countries. And the Ministry of Interior states that such citizens are not allowed to participate in illegal activities that are under control of gangs and under control of foreign gunmen. Ministry of Interior recognizes their activities as illegal, and they will provide materials to SBU. Well, community is unhappy with elections, so-called elections on Dinang. Martin Schulz, president of European Parliament, and he told pseudo-elections undermined efforts and bring to escalation, delegitimize protesters, and the supporters serious people in negotiations. Speakpersons of James Saki, they want Moscow that official recognition of Moscow of those elections in the East will bring to further isolation of Russian Federation in the world. She added that the U.S. agrees statements from EU, France, Germany, and other countries that reject legitimacy of those pseudo-elections. And so she expressed that the U.S. is worried with information and pictures with those trucks which bring heavy ammunition to Ukraine. President of France, Hollande, he called Vladimir Putin not to recognize elections in Donbass and that is Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Slovenia and Romania. They condemned pseudo-elections in Luhansk and Donetsk. They told they don't recognize those results. NATO chief General Bridlov thought that Russia in this context can bring to freezing the conflict, and that can bring to worse relations with NATO. And Moscow moves borders between Russia and Ukraine to the west. That's it. Your questions, please.
Interfox Ukraine, whether there is any information about the Russian military and heavy machinery and missile complexes bringing closer to the Ukrainian border. We have been observing the reinforcement of Ukrainian military with machinery and state-of-the-art machinery, including missile complexes with the long-range missile complexes to the border of Ukraine. The terrorists continue to breach the Minsk protocols. My question is, when our servicemen will be allowed to open fire, not just in response, but to prevent the attacks? You understand that in the context of discussing the enforcement and implementation of the law on special regime, the situation in Donbass, Donetsk and Lugansk regions also will be discussed in broader context. There is an information about up to a dozen of missile complexes Iskander that they are now deployed on the border of Ukraine. We have an information not just about these complexes, but we have intelligence data about other military equipment and technique, and be sure that our command analyzes this information and plans the response in case it will be used. There is an information that almost all the machinery was withdrawn from checkpoint 31. I have no this information. Instead of this, I know that it was reinforced with the servicemen. Liga Business Inform. Please check whether my understanding is correct that at the National Security and Defense Council, the situation with the ceasefire and non-compliance with the Minsk agreement will be discussed. The National Security and Defense Council will analyze the situation which appeared after the non-compliance with the Minsk agreements, and they will make the decision which one we do not know. Whether there is whether you have any ideas what decisions will be suggested for the National Security and Defense Council. As far as I know, the Security and Defense Council will analyze the information from the most informed people, and they will make their decision. Let's wait till their decision. Press briefing by Oluka